Welcome to episode 4 of Hooper's Delight, Coach Key and EBC. Today we're going to talk about some aspects of the game, from positions to the way the game is played, the way the game is officiated, position to positionless basketball, the difference between back then and now, and the ways that you can work on your game and develop the proper skill sets to best benefit each individual position and player.
Yeah, man. So I'll start because I'm excited about this. I'm excited to talk about the point guard position. I grew up a point guard, a pass first point guard. I got more joy out of getting guys buckets than scoring myself. But how much that position has changed, and I think you'll probably touch more on that, but for me, how that position should be played is what I'm going to touch on, and then I'll let you roll because I feel like you're going to have plenty to say about this. For point guards today, and I'm a little bit more traditional in the sense of, I'm not a huge fan of guys like a Russell Westbrook, which I know you are.
This is my favorite player.
Yes, favorite player. I'm not at the point guard position. I'm
Right.
not, and I'll touch on that because I think Russell's a little bit more of a combo guard, can play the one, but can also
Right.
play the two. A guy that for me, is a little bit more like a Logan Haas fight, in my opinion. A guy that can play the one, get you into your stuff, and be valuable here, but then playing off the ball be as valuable, if not more valuable, because his ability to score. Right. So, but I'm the type of guy, and a lot of people hear me say, like, I love guys like Jay Sallin, like a Russell Gibson, guys that a little bit more like facilitating, prioritizing the facilitating. But as a point guard, I think it's vital to know that point guards are an extension of the coach on the floor. So there's an aspect of leadership that not everybody has or understands or is mature. And for me as a point guard, it took me into my college years to really grasp it and hone in the maturity, because I was pretty immature for a while. If you know me, I still am a little bit, but I have fun with it. But still, you need to be an extension of the coach. You need to understand what the coach is trying to accomplish, what he wants. And like Chris Paul does a great job of, when they lose, Steph Curry as well, when they lose, it's on him. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if he has 35 and hits 12 threes, or 36 would be 12 threes. If he has 36 and hits 12 threes, they lose, it's on him. And then the coach steps in, it's on me. A good coach, I need to have a better plan. This is on me, this is on me. You take the bullets. A good point guard will step in front of the coach and do it first. A good coach will come in and be like, no, it's on me, it's my plan. You don't see a good point guard out there throwing guys under the bus. Right. A good point guard understands how he can affect every guy around him with this.
Right.
Encouragement, positivity. You got a shooter that can't seem to find it. It's not like, come on, man, get a bucket or pass the ball. It's keep getting open. I'm going to find you. You're a bucket. We need you. I don't think people understand the power of the mouthpiece, especially at the point guard position.
Not anymore.
Directing traffic, putting guys where they need to be, understanding that the guys you play with have an understanding. And me and you have played together, and I've told you, if I say this, it means do the opposite. Because I know what I say to the defender is going to process one way, and he's going to try to overcompensate, and you're going to get an easy bucket.
Right.
There's not a lot of people that have that understanding and are able to implement that and have that understanding with their teammates and understand where every guy is on the floor at all times and what their strength is and what their weakness is and what the coach is looking for, and implementing that, but still having to do your part offensively and defensively. It's a lot. It's a lot, and that's why when you find a true point guard that is able to encompass all of that, that's when teams are very special, in my opinion. So I like the prioritizing the playmaking, the facilitating, simplifying the game for guys around you, getting guys open with your eyes, with your mouth, like a guy like LeBron does. Right. You see all LeBron's best highlights is he's looking one way and passing the other way. He's getting guys open with his eyes. He understands the defender's looking at him. If he looks here, they jump, boom. And his teammate understands, oh, that means go this way. Right. That's relationship. That's spending time after practice. That's having conversations about the game of basketball, watching film. Right. And so for me, the point guard position, it's a quarterback position. Right. And most importantly, it's an extension of what your coach wants. You have to be on the same page as the coach, have the same understanding. And so for me, the point guard position is the most vital on the floor. And that may be because I'm a little biased as a former point guard, but I had the ability to do a lot of those things. And that's why I was a 5'11" white guy that was able to be successful against guys that looked like yourself.
Right.
Where, I never passed the eye test, but I got out there, my feel, my understanding, my ability to, I don't want to say dominate a game, but I had the ability to dominate a game without scoring a basket.
Right.
Because of my understanding and my feel and all that. So for you, how do you feel like the point guard position from guys like Isaiah Thomas and guys like that back in the day, Jordan's era, whatever, Bob Cousy back in the day, how has that changed today? And I know point guards got to be able to score these days. John Morant can do it. Right. They don't have to be the greatest shooters because Westbrook and Morant and these guys are not, but they're good enough shooters to be able to be who they are in the point guard position to be great. What do you think?
Well, it's the difference now, I would say, than back then. Back then, because of how the game was played with a traditional five positions from the point, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and the center, each position had a different role and a different set of skills that they needed to have in order to fulfill that position and to fulfill the plays that they run. With now, where the game is no longer position basketball, it's positionless. You have guys that are 6'7" playing point guard. You have guys that are 6'9" playing point guard. You got sometimes 7'6" guy bringing the ball up, depending on what set they're trying to get into. And so now the traditional point guard is kind of lost, I would say, and more of these guys are more predominantly scoring. Even the guys that get high assists, like the Halliburtons and Trae Young, they're still above 25 points a game. So it's a little different now. And here's the biggest difference that I would say is developing what the help side is doing. And how do you dictate how to get guys, how do you get guys to move out of the way that you want them to, where you want to go, where you want the ball to be placed, whether you're throwing it to the roll man, pop man, corner guy, whether it's a skip, whether it's a chest pass, whatever pass you're looking for. But you have to be able to control help side with your eyes. Also, you have to be in a position where you're in comfort. A lot of guards now, every guard is receiving ball screens. It's very hard in today's game to operate, to try to create and facilitate if you don't have a ball screen. Because depending on what sets, whether you're doing a 1-4 flat or a 5-out motion or whatever the case may be, spacing is huge. And a lot of times when you get to a certain level, you have to be able to control help. And that's something that takes you to that next step. That's something that guys like Chris Paul is really good at, guys like LeBron are really good at. And so oftentimes it's a guy will look and say, oh, he threw a no-look pass. No, he was making the help side guess. And that's all that he needed to do to make that pass or make that play happen. And so he's the guy that does it. Luka does it really well. And those are guys that are, back in the day, would be power forwards or small forwards based upon size and weight, where now these guys are bringing the ball up, dictating the offense, dictating the tempo, and they're very ball dominant. I feel like back in the day, the point guards weren't as ball dominant. They had the ball, but not everything went through them in a sense of scoring and facilitating. It was more facilitating. Once they gave it up, it was done for them.
So you're talking like what LeBron. So LeBron has always been considered a small forward for me. He's always been a point guard. Right. Luka as well. They've got that different type of size.
Now the point forward.
The point forward. So I view a point forward more of a small forward, power forward as like a Draymond Green. He's not necessarily going to bring the ball up the floor, but his ability to facilitate is high and advanced. But LeBron, I would consider a point guard, and Luka, Lillard is another guy. There's a lot of these guys who literally fit the mold of what you're talking about, and that's and you name dropped as well. Halliburton's doing it. De'Aaron Fox is doing it. And I'm probably missing 100 other guys because the league is just
so talented.
So talented. Offensively, it's so talented, and defensively, it's changed as well, which I'll let you talk about. The shooting guard position. I think shooting guards these days, or the two position, guy's got to be a bucket. He's got to be able to strap it up at a high clip, and he's got to be able to defend as well. You can't be at that position not defend a 1 or a 2 or a 3. What do you think? And how has defense changed from hand checking and whatnot? And then what is your? I view the 2-3 kind of as both guard positions, wing positions, if you will. Which is a guy
that's
like
what
yourself.
I view too.
Needs a scoring mentality, but also needs to understand that It's all different. It's all relative, but guys got to be able to take high percentage shots, get high percentage shots, but also be able to hit
Right.
a low percentage shot, which
Right.
comes with the work a guy like yourself provides.
Right.
So go ahead.
Right. I would say for like the two position, well, one, let's start with the defense. How you guard now based upon before you could hand check, it was more physical because of the hand checking and the flagrant fouls weren't as soft as they are now. Now it's a little bit different. You know, you got guys getting fouls. And to be honest, there's still some hand checking, not even close to as much as there was. Now the help side isn't coming to take your head off, but you know, it depends on if your team has bad blood or not. But I'll say this, the difference is too is that the defensive three in the key is the biggest thing. And that's when I went to the G League, that was something that for me was so eye-opening because in high school and in college, I was so used to guys waiting for me in the paint. And that's why I had to develop the mid-range, had to develop the three ball because I couldn't just get to the basket anymore. Guys were set up for charges, guys were waiting in there, you know, 2-3 guys. Now I'm shooting a low percentage shot because I'm trying to force something. When in the NBA, you have defensive three in the key, that's why you see these guys getting postered. That's why you see so many alley-oops because you can't just sit in the paint. And the paint is different. It's how wide it is, it's further out. Not only that, how the rule works is that as soon as the foot is in the paint, the count starts. So you can't have one in, one out. You have to tap. They call it a quick tap. So when I first got to the G League, they gave you a book of terms, and you got to learn all the terms because of how the game's officiated and all the things that goes into it. And so when you're on the outside, you have to tap your foot in and out. If you look away for a second and then you look back, the guy's already taken off.
Yeah.
And so if you're late, now you're on ESPN.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just so different how the game is played because there's not a guy just sitting in the paint waiting for you. It's the same thing with the international game when they play in the Olympics. That's why it's a lot harder to score over there and there's so much lower scoring games because there's guys waiting in the paint. So from that standpoint, you have to defend a little bit different. Guarding a 2 and a 3 is typically the guys with depending on who it is, but majority of the best players with the best footwork and the most bag, I would say are 2s and 3s outside of the point guard position. But because we have so many different levels we can score at, whether it's the paint, you can dunk it, lay it up any type of way. You can play with your back to the basket. You can turn and face, play in that mid-range area, and then shoot, whether you're coming off a ball screen, whether you're coming off a pin down, you know, whatever the case may be. But as far as like the 2s and 3s, the difference for me in the 2s and 3s is really just right or left. Typically, you got the 2 on the right, the 3 on the left. You're running the same wings. If you're a bigger guy, you're probably going to be the 3 just because you can set screens. Your actions might be to the pick and roll, pick and pop, things of that nature. The 2 is typically the guy that's getting majority of things for him, like a Devin Booker. I would say Devin Booker. You'd put like Tatum in there or Brown in there. You'll put
Chris Middleton's a
like
guy.
Chris Middleton. You know, there's so many different 2 guards. Jimmy Butler, those guys, 2 3s, and even KD, like 7 feet, but he plays that style where he's in that mid-range. So those types of guys that are a little bit different. And the way that they score, you know, look at Kobe, you look at MJ, you look at Carmelo Anthony, you look at Devin Booker, you look at all these guys, it's their footwork. And a lot of times you don't have, like in high school, you're able to catch hop, you're able to 1-2 hop, you're able to come off a screen and have bad footwork, where in the NBA, you can't. You don't have time. The windows are closing because of the length, the athleticism, how they're chasing you, how they're defending you, how they help. You have to have proper footwork. And that's why a lot of these guys, if you watch them work out, it seems so simple and methodical. And you're like, well, this is boring. You have to master that. Yeah. The left, right, the right, left. If you're a hop guy, being able to hop and then still going completely square either direction.
That old man game, right?
Yeah.
The fundamentals, which you were talking about on our previous episode, about how the girls are so good with the fundamentals, right? Like there is so much value in that. Right. I mean, that's foundational. And from there is when you can get crafty and you can get slick and you can get saucy, whatever you want to call it. Right. And so I completely agree with that. That's vital, especially at those positions. Like you said, Booker is. Go watch Devin Booker. I mean, oh my goodness, he's special. He just gets there. He understands his elevation, his fade. It's
room to operate.
Special.
There's room to operate, and that's why you look at 2 guards and 3 guards and how they shoot so many fadeaways is because a lot of times where they have what they call spot scoring. And spot scoring is if you go into a workout and you shoot your typical 5 spots, both corners, both wings, and the top of the key, you're going to shoot 9 of 10 from each of those spots.
Yeah.
And so when you're on the floor, you treat the game the same way. As soon as you catch it in the mid post and you turn and face, you know which direction and which place you're going to shoot better from. So
Yeah.
what they would call your tendencies, which they break down
Yeah.
on film when you're really at that level, they're breaking down your tendencies. How much do they want to go right? How much do they want to go left? And those types of things. So when you're catching it into the mid post and you're turning and facing, one, you can see all the help. You can see where stuff is coming from. You can see what's open. And that's why a lot of those guys will get to the side steps or the step backs because they've already hit a simple pull up probably 3 or 4 times. Now it's getting overplayed. Now it comes to step back or side step or whatever. And the different levels of scoring, how they run off the screens. These guys got to rub their shoulders. There is no space between the screens because what we call in the G League, it's called caboose. The guy will chase on the backside and he'll try to do a contest from the backside just to blur your vision. So when you know those types of things, that's how you can gauge how to read each screen, each play. Mm-hmm. First, before you even take off, you're looking at help. Then when you come off the pin down or the double screen, you're dipping your shoulder, getting as tight to that screener as you can, and you're looking at his man. Where is he helped at?
Yeah.
If he's back, you got a shot. If he's in drop coverage, you in the shot. Majority of those screens, and in the NBA, these guys are moving. So that's just the reality of it. These guys are moving screens. So your guy's gonna be behind you. If it's just you and the big, now you're always gonna have 3 typically. If you're Steph Curry, they're gonna try to hard head you or W off the screen. Mm-hmm. Those are where they attack the high side foot or they split, or they'll throw it right away to the roll man and keep moving and then relocate and get a shot that way. So the 2s and 3s, the shots that you get is from all 3 levels, and depending on what your feel is for the game is what you typically go to. Me, I like the back of the basket style, more like how Kobe did. I can turn and face though, but with the back to the basket, you can always fade either shoulder depending on which pressure they're putting on your back. So that gives you your opening. And if you're consistently working at that shot, that most hated shot now by analytics and book nerds is the mid-range shot. But if you master that shot, you consistently work on it, you see the best scorers. All of them have a mid-range game, and majority of them, that's the best part of their game outside of probably Steph Curry.
Yes.
But he still has a great, phenomenal mid-range game. So the 2s and 3s is just a little different with all 3 levels and what's required of you. Some of those guys can take the rebounding role. You can go be a rebounder. You can be an assist guy and be more of a creator. Some of these guys are getting 10, 11 assists. KD just had a triple-double the other day. I think it was yesterday.
16 assists.
And it's just because of the double teams and things of that nature. So because of the threat of scoring, they can see these other options being open. You knock down the shot, you can get it, the big rolls to the basket, you get a lob. So it's all reads. Everything that's in the NBA is reads, and it's not all these crazy X and O's. Now there is some set plays, some quick hitters and stuff like that, but majority of it is reads, and it's the pick and roll. That's why everybody runs the pick and roll.
So I have a question for you. That is part of having a high IQ. It actually is, because you don't see a lot of kids out here, especially, who are making correct reads or even looking to make a read. They run where they're supposed to go. Right. Instead of, and sometimes that's sets or, hey, we're playing 5 out or whatnot. But a guy like Alex Coe over at Timberline always makes the right read. Right. Okay. And it's as simple as this. And I've taught this to kids from the 3rd grade level all the way to the varsity level, seniors in high school. It's as simple as when you get a down screen, if the guy goes underneath, you flare. If the guy follows, you curl. Right. Or if the guy runs straight into the screen, you pop, catch, and shoot. Right. And you would be blown away how many kids are not able to feel that. Right. And that comes from, we've talked about before, watching the game. I have so many clips of Clay, KD, and Steph on the Warriors that I used to show my guys, because when I was over at Eagle coaching a bunch of shooters, I was like, guys, watch how they get open. Right. I mean, the tugging, the pulling, the pushing, just to create a foot of space to catch and shoot. And it's incredible the feel that these guys have and the understanding and doing it and watching it and seeing it. Kids don't do it enough. They're not doing it enough. They're not watching it enough. They're not studying it enough. And that's why, all these kids who want to be college hoopers, when you can't do that, go back and rewatch what Coach Key just preached on. Listen carefully. Watch it a couple times. If you don't understand, hit him up and ask him what it means. We're trying to teach the game right now. This is a free lesson that people pay for. Understanding reads, understanding the game, being able to manipulate those reads and hold on to your guy, run him through a screen, force him to have to follow you so you can curl and get a bucket or catch and make a play. It's beautiful. That's my favorite part of the game. Is that, and I tell people this, and tell me if you agree, there is always an opportunity to get a good look.
Right.
if you make the right reads.
Right.
There's guys that can clamp up a possession or two where you can't find, but there's always a read that is the best option
Right.
to get yourself in a position to get a high percentage shot. That's what it comes down to. That's what this game comes down to, is how can we get high percentage looks and get buckets.
Right.
And so, like I said, rewatch what this guy just preached. We'll continue here with the 4 and 5 position, which the 4 position for me maybe, I mean, as a point guard, I love the point guard position, but the 4 position it's exciting for me. I look at LeBron can play the 4, the point forward.
I played
call
the
it
4 in college.
Yeah, exactly. Where you can play 1, you can play 2, 3, 4, 5. Wherever you need to be, you a playmaker.
Right.
Draymond Green does not get enough love, and you just said something about Steph Curry about relocating and there is not a better player that I have ever seen in my life get guys high percentage looks than Draymond, not at the point guard position, than Draymond Green.
Right.
Draymond Green for me, and we'll have an episode on Draymond Green probably. Is he a Hall of Famer? Is he not? What's going on now with him and whatnot? But we're not talking about that. We're talking about as a basketball player. And people call him Mr. Triple Single, 9 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. That's nasty.
Right.
Okay. His ability to dominate the game without scoring. Everybody says he's not a good enough scorer. Dude, the screens he sets and the way these guys work off of him, his ability to pass the ball like a point guard, if not better than most of the point guards in the league, is what makes him a Hall of Famer, in my opinion, is what has made these Warriors teams so deadly. Steph and Clay aren't sitting back, and KD as well, aren't sitting back saying we wouldn't be a championship team without Draymond. They're not saying that because he's their friend. They're saying that because they understand the game at its purest and its fullest, and Draymond Green is as different as they come. He's a Dennis Rodman type of difference maker, but facilitating screens, defending. He's been Defensive Player of the Year, can guard 2 through 5, effectively depending on the player. And his help side is different and all that type of stuff. So for me, guys that play that position who can change franchises and help teams win championships are guys like Draymond Green, LeBron at that. You can plug LeBron into that position.
Right.
You can even plug, they don't, but you could plug Luka into that position. Right. Who are some other guys, if any, that you can think of? KD's another one that you can put there, especially after having 16 assists yesterday.
Jokic. You could put Jokic in there. He's not just a traditional center. He's not he plays the 5 depending on size and matchups, but he has that ability to set screens and do things that the 4 and the 5 do. You have him. You have a guy that I think people really don't value as much as they should, but is a underrated passer, but is a 4 and 5 guy in Andre Drummond, who just had 24 and 25 and doesn't get credit at all for anything that he's done, and he's averaged over 13 rebounds for his career. So, but those guys. But I think the biggest thing too with dudes like that, like Karl Anthony Towns, he could play that position,
Definitely.
can create. Ben Simmons plays the point, but has the ability to play that.
Yes.
The thing that people don't understand is playing without the ball. We see Kyrie, we see Curry, we see all these guys with these bags and these moves, and I'm not knocking it. They get, have a good bag, have, moves, but nobody wants to play with James Harden. And no disrespect, I like James, but
that's facts.
When you sit there and you got to see somebody dribble the ball 19 times and you got 24 seconds on the shot clock and he's had it for 18 seconds, it's very hard to be a person that wants to sit there and just catch and shoot. And that's why a lot of those teams, those Rocket teams, they got far, but they never went to the championship, because at the end, if you go as James goes. And a lot of times it's now with how many stars on each team, it's very difficult to win with one guy doing the bulk of the load. Now he's impressive, his scoring ability.
Yeah.
Now he can get you 15, 16 assists. But there's a difference between creating a shot for somebody else and passing the ball when you have to. And that's some things that they used to accuse Rondo of doing is, he used to hog assists and even Russell Westbrook, he'd wait till the shot clock was low, throw it to somebody, now he gets the assist. When it's like, I look at how Rondo played the game, and Rondo would get you 20 assists, 25 assists, and score 2 points. But he created so many things, from the lobs to getting shooters open, from some of the fancy passes that he did, but he was creating for others, but he wasn't pounding the air with the ball.
Yeah.
And, I'm critical of James just because it's hard to watch somebody dribble like that. I love Kyrie. I think he's phenomenal, but it's hard to watch somebody that has the ball for that entire time, especially if you're a scorer or in a position to score. it's hard to only see the ball every 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And required to guard, required to run through screens, required to go rebound, talk, be a good teammate. And if you miss your one shot and they get to shoot 25 times, you know. So
tough.
it's a little bit different. But learning how to play without the ball, I think, is one of the biggest things. And from not just from the 4 position, but the 2 and 3s as well. And even sometimes point guard. A lot of times the eyes are focused on whoever has the ball, but there's so much going on. You look at a guy like Draymond that's constantly setting screens. You look at guys like, you look at some of these bruisers that stayed in the league, Adonis Haslam, James Johnson, those guys that found a way to stay in the league. You look at Taj Gibson, who just played on Christmas.
Yep.
These guys found a way to stay because they're rebounding, they're blocking shots, they're defending, they're giving up their shots for somebody else. And they're okay with scoring 4 and 5 points a game. You go and you look at their plus minus, it's up there because they're doing so many effective things. They may not have the most minutes and they may not be required to have the scoring load, but they're setting screens, they're encouraging their teammates, they're rebounding the ball, they're defending the ball, they're getting the 50-50 balls. Those are things that go unnoticed, and a lot of times playing the 4 position, you can be undersized. You look at a guy like Zion, who is a 4-man essentially, but there's nobody that can stay in front of him. So anything that you put a guard on him, he's too strong, he's too big. You put a big on him, he's too fast, too quick. So there's really not a way that you can guard him. If he could shoot it, forget about it.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to be the first player, if he finishes this year the way that he's at, he'll be the first player in NBA history ever to average 25 points over 65% shooting from the field.
Yeah.
And he only goes left.
Yeah.
So it's just a dominant force. So, but the 4 position is one of those things where it's the most underappreciated position. From setting screens, from rolling typically, from trailing the play, from constantly being the guy that's stuck in help, to grabbing rebounds, defending the screens, getting the switch onto the point guard. Like there's so many different roles or so many different plays throughout the game that happens to the 4-man.
Yeah.
And depending on your size and athleticism, if you're just an athlete, you typically get stuck there.
Yeah.
Because if you can't shoot it well enough, they'll put you there. But if you're tall and you can jump high or you're strong, you'll get put at that 4 position. So then you have to learn those things: trailing the play, screening properly, screening angles, screening away, those things. So 4 positions a little bit different. Being able to post up and get shots. You might get mid-range shots. You might get pick and pops.
Yeah.
Being able to catch lobs, at least in the NBA and stuff like that. So the 4 positions a little bit. It's kind of like the glue.
And I'm sitting here as you explain this, and I'm thinking about a couple four men in the league who are underappreciated but having great years. Jeremy Grant.
Yep.
Sanguine from
He's amazing.
From the Rockets. Well,
Amazing.
I mean, but they're doing other things as well: defending, setting screens, getting these other playmakers open and whatnot. Having great years. You're not hearing about them.
Right.
It's the same thing that Draymond has always dealt with, and Draymond's on such a a well-known, flashy team and all this that people got to bash somebody, and so you're right. It's very underappreciated position, but vital.
Right.
Vital to championship team success, to good teams. And we could go through and probably mention 20 guys at that position who are underappreciated, who may not be household names, but are big time ballers. And you just started talking about post-up games and whatnot. So let's kind of transition to the 5 here and still stay with the 4. It's different than it was when I was growing up watching MJ, watching, Olajuwon. Michael was on the block often.
Right.
Olajuwon, Barkley, all these guys who could step out and do things. I mean, obviously Michael, the GOAT, but you've got David Robinson, even Duncan for a while. These were all get on the block type of guys, right? Ewing, Worthy, all these guys. Just think of it, Malone, all these dream team. You don't see that much anymore. You've got guys like LeBron with extreme IQ who have taken a little bit from all these guys' game. LeBron will get on the block. LeBron could get on the block more,
right,
if he wanted. And
he did at Miami.
Yeah, exactly. And LeBron is an elite passer, one of the all-time greats when it comes to facilitating the basketball. That you put him on the block, you have to double him, and it's going to be high percentage shots all day. That's why the Lakers have a shot to go win it this year, because of everything they've put around him, and they may not be done. They may go get a Levine or a DeRozan or I'm hearing Devontae Murray now, which would be a huge pickup for them. You put the right pieces around a guy that can dominate the game, passing the ball like that. It's a wrap. But Why has the post-up game disappeared a little bit? And maybe you disagree. What do you think?
Well, the back to the basket guys have there's not as many of them because now these guys are shooting threes, and threes are more than two, and that's all you hear when you get to. If you're fortunate to get to an NBA or NBA G League type level, they give you a book full of all the analytics and each shot percentage, and which is the highest percentage based upon the stats and based upon all these analytics. And to me, it's ruined the game in a sense because if you ask anybody that's playing it and has played it at a high level and has done it, they'll tell you a mid-range shot is a great shot. But if you look at the guys just studying and never played and never done anything, just looking at these numbers, those are guys that'll say it's a bad shot. So same thing with the jump hook. Now you got guys that are taller, you may lack strength, you may lack size, you may lack vertical. And so these guys that are back to basket are usually not there because here's what happens is everybody will say, and this is how I think basketball is the inside out game. Inside out is the highest made shots. That's true. So if you're throwing it into the post now, these guys are such good shooters that they're whipping it right back out. So instead of them getting the basket, left jump hook, right jump hook, they're now just turning and usually skipping it. And they're trying to create closeouts. And that's the main thing is because they're trying to get more plays at the basket. And because these 5 men are such good lob catchers, the pick and roll is the most unstoppable play. Before, when you had Kareem, Wilt, the back to the basket was the most unguardable play. The rules were different, right? So now you look at it, these guys could take advantage of a one-on-one in the post-up, but a lot of these guys are digging on the help. A lot of them are just doubling and trying to get the ball to your hands. And so you're taking away that center's shot. And a lot of these guys are not, the step through, and they're not really doing the footwork down there outside of these European players. A lot of them are just shooting threes and just being athletic, catching lobs.
Yeah.
So they've kind of taken, the jump hooks and just being a brute to the basket away. So that's kind of what's really changed as far as, the guys with back to basket. A lot of guys turning face and a lot of guys shoot fadeaways. So just bullying through people like how Ewing did and stuff like that those days are gone.
So let's touch on this. We've got a couple minutes left, and I want to do a little bit of more in-depth NBA talk, kind of your opinion, and I'm going to use what we're talking about now to jump into it because you're right. That back to the basket game has disappeared a little bit. And the guy that does do it the best is who we've talked about, maybe the best player in the NBA. Yeah. And he's still got that, fully got that. And when he's doubled, he is an elite passer, if not the best passer in the league. So I'm gonna give you some rapid fire NBA questions here. And you just rant, and then I'll throw another one at you, and you just give me your feel. Who's the best player in the NBA right now?
The best player to me is Jokic.
Who is Mr. Back to the basket?
Back to basket, efficient scoring, shoots for high field goal percentage, gets about 12, 13 rebounds a game, and then he's averaging a career high 9.2 or 9.8 assists right now.
Yeah.
Almost averaging triple-double at the center position, and he plays without the ball, plays with the ball, just does all the things. He might be boring, but gets the job done.
Point forward, essentially can play point forward, can play with his back to the basket, can dominate without scoring. All these things we've touched on today. He encompasses that, and that's why he, and people don't realize now, we may not even realize, is going to go down as one of the greatest players of all time. And I don't think it's going to be close. He is, and people say he doesn't work on it. I think he works on it. I think he loves the game. I think he's got other things he loves as well. He's different. He's from Europe. Right. It's all different over there. Serbia, but he is so special. Because he clicks every box, checks every box. Yep. Okay, so who this year? So they won it last year. Who this year for you, from the East and from the West? Do you think who's going to be in the NBA Finals?
Ooh, I think for me in the East conference final, it's going to be the Bucks and the. I think it's going to be the Bucks and the Celtics, and I'm going to take the Celtics this year. I think this is the year for them to do it. If they don't do it this year,
why? Drew Holiday.
Yeah, from a defensive standpoint, that's the problem with the Bucks. The Bucks went from having the best defensive team in the NBA last year to now they're, I think, the worst.
Yeah.
And so, they have firepower, but I'm a defensive guy, so I take defense over offense. So I think the Celtics will win. Not only that, they have more scoring options with getting Drew Holiday, and Derek White is, I think, playing. Honestly, I would put him as an all-star just because of what he's doing. He won't get one, but He's a first-team defensive guy. He does everything right. He's averaging 16.9, almost 17 points a game right now, as a third, fourth, fifth option maybe.
Because Porzingis,
And
the
you got
unicorn,
Porzingis, so
Porzingis is
they have
there.
size. If they're healthy, I think that the Celtics will come out of the East. Of the West, I'm not gonna lie. I know that losing Bruce Brown for the Nuggets was huge for me. I think that he was the very, very important piece, but I just don't see anybody. I mean, the Timberwolves right now is number one, and the Thunder up there, but I need to see it in the playoffs.
Yeah, they haven't
I
been
need
there
to see it in
done
the
that.
playoffs. So I think that the Nuggets will go back.
Yeah.
And I think that the Nuggets will win.
What about?
I hope the Celtics will pull it off, but
Yeah.
there's nobody can stop Joker.
I picked the Celtics to win it last year. They didn't. I'm going to pick them to win it this year for all the reasons you just said. I just think they've added that defensive defense wins championships mentality with Mr. Holiday, who is still, we talk about it, I feel like it's talked about every year, maybe the single most underrated player in the NBA, what he brings on and off the court from a leadership standpoint, as a teammate, what he does for the community, bringing the community together with the team. We saw him do it in Milwaukee and Philly.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, unbelievable guy. And I'm a huge Drew Holiday fan. I hate UCLA, but I love Drew Holiday. But what about the Lakers? I bring my guy Coach Jam's in the house, so I'm gonna bring this up for him. He's putting his hands up in the background. Makes me sick to bring up, but they did just win the in-season tournament and hung themselves a banner, which I'm sure all the LeBron fans will say now LeBron has 5. He needs 1 more to tie Jordan, because those are LeBron fans. But can the Lakers win it? AD can't get hurt, but
if they're healthy, and I don't know. I watched them on Christmas Day, and they got smacked. So I don't know. I just think for me, I never count on LeBron. I really don't. He's one of those people that I have, even like when it comes to the best player, like I say, Joker. But in my head, I just still don't think anybody's past LeBron yet.
Yeah.
Because he's doing like he's 30. He turns 39 on 31st.
Yeah.
And he's shooting the ball at an efficient percentage. He always does. And he just does so many things, and for whatever reason, he always finds himself in a position to win. So, I don't think I'm not gonna say they will, but I'm not gonna say they aren't.
Yeah.
I think they'll get to the conference finals though, for whatever reason. I think they'll find their way, and I think they'll make a late push, but they definitely need another piece.
Yeah.
I think they need another piece.
All right, let's finish up with this one. Your favorite player, who you feel like has the game that most emulates you in the NBA right now. Who would you compare your game to? I have a thought, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it while you think. I think you, for me, kind of have a Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown type of feel. I don't know which one I would go with more. I'd probably say Tatum. I think Tatum has got a little bit more like I'm him in him, like yourself.
I don't know,
You
man.
ain't 6'10" though, bro.
Yeah, I take pieces from everybody. I would say my go-tos, and as far as what I get into and where I like to play, I'm more of like a Tatum Booker type, mid-range in that mid-post, post-up type guy. My mentality though in the game is Russell Westbrook to a T. Rebound, defend, teammate, be a good teammate. And I'll say my shooting would be probably like, I don't know, those guys shoot more threes than me. It's not that I don't shoot threes, because depending on if the first one goes in, I may chuck up a ton. But if the first one doesn't, I'm just going to get to the mid-range and get to the layups and dunks. But shooting for me, I would say is somebody like, I would say honestly, the game that I play the most, that most emulates me, I would say is Jimmy Butler, DeMar DeRozan. Those are two guys that they play both sides of the ball. They're both athletic, strong, physical, taller than me, but playing the mid-range, shoot mid-range. You can watch them score 40, 50 ball without any threes. Now, I'll shoot probably more threes than they do, but
Jimmy Butler, though,
that's probably who
my favorite player in the league, too.
That's probably who I play like the most and have the same mindset. Like I have that me against the world mindset, and I think I can always win. And I talk a little trash, too. So I would say those guys. And they're more like rough around the edges and don't care what people think of them. So I'd say more. Those two are probably closer to who I am.
I like that. I'm going to say for myself, I'm going to throw this out there because I want to all the young kids out there. Go check out White Chocolate, Jason Williams.
Yeah, Jason Williams.
I like the flash, the flare,
Yeah.
the dimes. I'd rather pass the ball than shoot the ball. If you have not watched Jason Williams, White Chocolate, there's a couple different Jason Williams. There's Jay Williams that played at Duke. Now he does the announcing and the commentating. You got Jason Williams that played for the Nets,
Right.
the center who was tough back in the day. But Jason Williams, White Chocolate, Sacramento Kings, played for the Grizzlies, won a championship with the Heat. You wanna see how to pass a basketball and what creativity. Passing the basketball and just the ability to be creative in the game of basketball. Go check out Jason Williams highlights on YouTube. Please, if you're a basketball fan, go watch this guy because a lot of the kids these days are like, who?
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Boy, change the game.
They
Boy,
don't.
change
The
the
dogs,
game.
they miss out on the dogs. Guys like this,
Yeah,
Terry
Terry
Rozier.
Oh, scary
You
Terry.
want to see somebody that's a dog, go
Well,
look at him.
Scary
Ain't got a
Terry.
bag.
He's still scary.
Yeah.
Look at the shoes you got on. Look at you fit today with the 3SSB socks.
Yeah.
Oh, man. These some KDs?
Uh-huh.
I got some KDs on, too. These are my pickleball shoes.
Yeah, we had the match. And you got the, shout out to Blake Buchanan.
Our guy
Big time.
out of Virginia. Virginia 10-2 now. Our guy Blake Buchanan from Lake City doing his thing. But anyway, episode 4, man, concludes.
Episode 4 in the wraps.
Another one. We'll
I'll
do
say
it
a
again.
prayer. I'll say
Close
the prayer.
us. Close us,
We got a
baby.
prayer to finish. Okay, here we go. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for gathering us here, Lord. I pray that you watch over us, guide us, lead us, and strengthen us, Lord. Let us be a voice that can be heard to share you, to share good, and share positivity to everybody around us, Lord. Thank you for the blessings, and thank you for another day and another episode of Hooper's Delight. In your wonderful name, amen.
Amen. Love you, boy.
Love you, boy.
Let's go.